Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the other recent Decca Eloquence box. The first one was devoted to Raphael Frubeck de Burgos, and this one is devoted to Walter Weller. These are really good performances. There's some nifty stuff in here. Walter Weller was a very fine conductor. He was born into the Vienna Philharmonic family. His father was a violinist there. He was a violinist. He always wanted to conduct. And the interesting thing about his career as a conductor, I mean, he had, 10 years with various, what you might call second-tier orchestras and ensembles, although the Royal Philharmonic was maybe better than that. It's not an issue because they were all good, and he made them sound good. But he recorded all over the place for different labels, much as Frubeck de Burgos did. And as a result of that, he didn't get a lot of recognition. I remember when he did his Beethoven cycle, which was on Chandos with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, and everyone said, "Oh my God, another Beethoven cycle, City of Birmingham, who cares?" And I understood. I understood because the performances were very, very musical and not tremendously exciting. They just weren't. And you can say what you will, but they were good and sensitive, but not thrilling. Well, he was better than that, actually. I don't think that Beethoven cycle helped him, to be honest with you, because his Decca recordings, for the most part, were very good. His interest tended to be in unusual repertoire. I mean, he conducted Martineau, he conducted Ducat and Sook, and he had a real taste for the off the beaten path stuff, which was very smart of him. The problem was when he did it originally, nobody credited a Viennese conductor doing, for example, Russian music or Prokofiev cycles or things like that. Everyone felt that he was a little bit underplaying, as he sort of did with his Beethoven cycle. But he was tremendously musical, and actually those musical values of excellent balances and warmth of timbre and top to bottom transparency and a refusal to be inhibited. There's a difference between elegance and inhibition, and he knew the difference. He really did. And you can hear it in these performances. So let's go through here, and I'll explain more clearly what I'm talking about. First, we have a Bartók concerto, piano concerto cycle with Pascal Roget, and it also includes the Bartók Rhapsody for piano and orchestra. Now, Pascal Roget is not known as a barn burner of a pianist. I mean, his most famous recording is Poulenc piano music. French, light and sensual and salon-like stuff, a lot of it. So for him to do the Bartók concerto, and with Walter Weller, who was not your bang slam type conductor, was really a little unusual, but they're very good performances. They really are. They have the drive, they have the rhythm. They may not be martellato in terms of, the first concerto, particularly in terms of that kind of slam bam, thank you ma'am, percussive sonority. But my goodness, he doesn't shortchange the music, and you do get a wonderfully lyrical, sort of Hungarian folk-like approach to those moments where Bartók wants that, which he does actually quite frequently. So it's a good Bartók cycle. Nobody talks about it. So it was fun to hear it again. It really was. And then we have the Brahms Hungarian dances, which are marvelous. It's one of the best Brahms Hungarian dances out there. They're just fantastic and Viennese and schmoozy and delicious. And oh gosh, they're gorgeous. Then we have the Ducat disc, Sorcerer's Apprentice and the Symphony in C. Now, when these recordings were made, there weren't so many versions of these works. And as I said, the problem that Weller had was that he was this Viennese German type person, although his grandmothers were Czech or something like that. But I mean, he was a Viennese guy doing music that, Jean Martinon did the Symphony in C. Other people had done the Ducat Symphony in C. And so he didn't have much of an opportunity to stand out. But it was very good. And he did it with the Suisse Romande Orchestra, actually. Let me just get in here. Let me see if I can tell you who he was doing things with whom. Yes, here we go. Ducat, it's the London Philharmonic. What am I talking about? But really, really very, very fine. It's even worse because you didn't have a French orchestra. But you never know. They played it all really well. The Royal Phil is the Brahms Hungarian dances. The London Symphony is the Bartók stuff. So let's be clear on that. Then he did Grieg, Peer Gynt incidental music, which is absolutely delightful. I mean, and it has the Dance of the Mountain King's Daughter. It's the extended incidental music with the Royal Phil. Excellent. And Smetana's tone poem, Hakon Jarl, with the Israel Philharmonic, which is also different. You don't hear that every day. And he does Czech music, to the manner born. He really does. Then we've got a cycle of Mozart violin concertos with the Japanese violinist, who was a Mozart specialist, actually, Mayumi Fujikawa, who's a first-class violinist with the Royal Philharmonic. And you also get, with this, the Johann Friedrich Eck Violin Concerto, which was attributed to Mozart, and the Violin Concerto in D major, Koschel 271A, formerly attributed to Mozart. It's nice to have those. You get two more Mozart violin concertos that aren't really Mozart. Then we've got Prokofiev. This Prokofiev cycle is really good, but it was broken up between the London Symphony and the London Philharmonic. It doesn't make that much difference, actually, because the decasonics were very, 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 very full with a nice deep bass, actually. Sounds really wonderful. You hear the tam-tam in the coda of the first movement of the fifth. Yes, you do. These performances were eclipsed by competing performances with the same orchestra. The LSO under Previn did the fifth. It's one of the great ones. But this one is not really inferior in any particular way. And it's actually a little bit more transparent in terms of, orchestral details. So, you get the Love for Three Oranges suite. Let's see what else. The Scythian suite, which is nice and noisy. He could do noise. He did noise well. The Russian Overture, Opus 72, and really a fine Prokofiev cycle that also tended to get overlooked. Prokofiev cycles are seldom completely successful. Someone usually blows the fifth or the sixth. He doesn't blow either of them. They're both very good performances. So that's nice to have. Then he did the Rachmaninoff complete symphonies. Here we have it with the Orchestre de la Suisse Romande, at least one of them, and then the London Philharmonic for 2 and 3. The Suisse Romande is number 1. When he made these recordings, really complete Rachmaninoff cycles were also few and far between. There was Ormandy and Philly, which of course was wonderful, but the second had cuts. And here we have this was done in 73, 76. I mean, Previn was doing his as well. And so again, there was a tendency to dismiss Weller's performances. Now, there are more thrilling versions of the Rachmaninoff symphonies. You can't kid ourselves. I mean, Leonard Slatkin's recent one, Andrew Litton did some amazing Rachmaninoff, I think, right? Didn't he? I don't know. Yes, I think so. For Biss, and there have been other really fine Rachmaninoff cycles in the intervening decades, but these are incredibly musical. I mean, they just hold up well. They aren't boring. They sing. The orchestral playing is very committed. The sonics are really good. Hey, like I said, you could do worse, and a lot worse. I enjoyed hearing them again. I really did. I just find revisiting these performances to be very satisfying. And if, they're not going to be my absolute favorites for all of the works in question, they're good enough so that if I take one out and play it, I will always be satisfied. I mean, that's really the point, isn't it? You can get a box like this and just say, oh, yes. Especially for the Prokofiev symphonies, they really are kind of special because they don't have any weak links. Even numbers 2 and 3, the noisy, screechy ones. I mean, he does them really well. They have noise, they have screech. They also have music, which is a good thing. And last but not least, Prima Donna in Vienna, a selection of arias by Mozart, Beethoven, Weber, Wagner, Korngold, Strauss, Zeller, Lehar, and Kalman, with Pilar Loringar, soprano, and the Wiener Opern Orchestra. And those are lots of fun, too. I mean, Pilar Loringar was a very fine singer, doesn't get a lot of attention nowadays, but she makes lovely music with Walter Weller. So there you go. 20 discs of not the usual thing you expect from a Viennese/German type conductor. Prokofiev, Rachmaninoff, Bartók. Oh, there's a Smetana. I've lost it here too. Yeah, what was I talking about? I missed that one. Is it in the booklet? Did I ignore it? Good heavens. Yes, it's with the Israel Philharmonic. There it is. Yeah, with the Israel Phil. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Really good Moldau. Exciting. And, so is Sharka. Yeah, she's nasty. Good stuff. So let's not forget the Mavlost. And yeah, like I said, not your usual stuff. But nowadays, I think we're in an even better position than we used to be to appreciate the special qualities that Walter Weller brought to his music making and to the distinctiveness thereof. I at least think so. Maybe you will too. Give it a listen and find out. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.